Rising from the darkness, defending our kingdom fearlessly. We harness the power of the first and the last will prevail. In this battle of the nerds, we shall never fail.
The First, the Last, the Nerdom. I'm ML, and today Tom and I are diving into a classic thriller. It's a masterclass in suspense. On this week's show, Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train. This 1951 film is a gripping exploration of how a seemingly innocent encounter can spiral into a chilling game of murder and manipulation. We'll dissect Hitchcock's brilliant direction and jump into the film's themes of fate and guilt. We'll also discuss the unforgettable performances that make this movie a timeless piece of cinema. So grab your popcorn and let's get started.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, Tom?
I'm good. How's things going, Mike?
Oh, good. Pretty good. I can't complain. This one, as the intro here, so we're doing things a little bit different. And before we get into it too much, we're going to plug our bona fides before we get into the main event here, including highlighting some of our recent work. But you can always find us. We would really appreciate it if you could like, comment, or especially if you could subscribe. That's really what we're trying to drive for. So all this is free. We would love to see you here in our 213 videos, as this will be soon. If you could join us every week or check our back catalog, it would be great. But as always, we're on YouTube. Tom heads up our Twitter, or our Reddit account. Always available there to interact, as well as on X or Twitter now. That's Tom's. I have a little thing called ApeIt.Ink. It's more heavier side, other things that might be entertainment that are not nerd related, that sort of thing. Also on Twitter as well. ML. I didn't do your name, so I won't. Anyway, what is this about? This is about the this thing's been doing this thing. The blocky thing there. Maybe I can refresh it there. Right. But of course it doesn't. But anyway, I think that's good. I just want to do a last little bit of plugging. Last week we did Lost Boys, 80s classic.
Yeah, it must have been Kismet, because Lost Boys, someone posted on X that it premiered July 30th of the year it came out. So
that is something on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm going to turn this guy off here, and we're just going to chit-chat for a minute. I guess I can leave up the show here. I wanted to cover this one, Tom. I had
yes, you did.
I think this is not quite noir, but I think it's in that vein, murder mystery kind of kind of thing. I don't know. What would you take? Is this inbounds for noir, or is this out of bounds, or is this kind of? But it's murder mystery.
Well, it doesn't have all the tropes of it. There's no mystery. There's
Right.
there's no femme fatale.
Right.
It's black and white. It has some morally gray areas, but yeah, I mean it wouldn't be out of place on a shelf with some noir stuff, but yeah, no, it's Hitchcock. I don't know if he ever did a noir. I'm not a well-versed person on Hitchcock, so if you're a fan of Hitchcock, I'm not. You're not gonna get it from me. I had never seen Strangers on a Train. I think I was confusing it with another movie, because I thought it all took place on a train, but I think I've got that confused with something else.
Yeah, there's a few really good classic movies though, from back in the olden days. Yeah, this was 1951. Alfred Hitchcock. It like the intro said, it's about the perfect murder, so to speak. You have this unique chance encounter between Guy Haynes and Bruno Anthony. Excuse me. I think that's what his name. Definitely Bruno for sure. Anyway, this this very eccentric character that starts. And when I'm talking about this movie gets going right away. There is no waiting. It pretty much telegraphs some things, builds the suspense for others. I think that the suspense building was very good. But anyway, they get into this conversation here, and Bruno proposes, and his half crazy, half mind. He's already got this agreement with the guy to swap murders. What do you think of the setup and going into it and all that good stuff from that first bat?
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, Bruno is one of those classic people in cinema. He sort of like Charlie from Always Sunny kind of terms himself a wild card. Bruno's a little bit of a wild card. You don't know what to expect from him, and so yeah, he and I kind of wonder, how much is planned and how much is happenstance. Did Bruno actually stalk a guy onto the train? Although they were coming from different directions, you see the beginning of the movie with them with their feet. They're following their feet to the train. So I don't think one was following the other, but yeah. So maybe it was happenstance. But you never know with Guy. Maybe he planned it. Maybe he knew Guy was going to be on the train and.
He he comes across as very eccentric. He's definitely not dumb. He is. I don't know if you could call him clumsy, but he is. Well, I think he's a little bit clumsy.
He's a clever guy. guy.
He is a clever guy. Yeah, a little bit. He's one of these guys that lives in their head. A very unique thing. I had kind of pulled up like a general talking point list, I guess. Any one of these is going to be great to get into, but it was, I don't know how to put it. I wouldn't say any of these people were upstanding citizens. I see you're cracking into your boomer juice.
Yep, some monster there.
Yeah, I think we got a couple viewers on the thing, so thank you for joining us live. As we're knocking this one out here as we go. So they have crazy idea. Little does Guy know that, and Guy is a tennis star who's kind of, I guess, famous enough for people to write stories about, or in the press.
Yeah. I think as back in that day, there wasn't a whole lot of people that you could term stars, but. One of the things I found interesting on researching this is it's based off of a Patricia Highstreet novel, her first novel, and they actually paid like $7,500 for it because they put it on the download that it was going to be a Hitchcock film, so so that they wouldn't ask a lot of money for it, and so they got it on the cheap, and. I guess obviously people read more back then, so authors were actually stars as well, and I guess they were trying to get someone, a famous writer, to actually write the script for it, and Dashiell Hammett turned it down. Because it was a first novel, he wasn't going to adapt the first novel. Come on, so it's kind of weird how that stigma was there for a first novel, whereas nowadays it doesn't matter what it is. But he got Raymond Chandler to write it, although his name is on the credits. I think very little was actually used from Raymond Chandler's script. They actually they tried to work together, but Raymond he was sort of like a hard nose. He wanted in his meetings he wanted to get in there, talk about the script and get out and write it. And whereas Hitchcock wanted to sit back and have a conversation and barely even talk about the script, and Raymond was like, I don't want these jabber sessions. Get me out of here. And I think things soured, and I think the point where of no return was whenever I think Hitchcock was struggling to get out of a taxi cab, and Raymond's like, "Look at that fat bastard! He can't even get out of a car." And his secretary goes, "I think he could hear you." He goes, "I don't care." And so soon after he was off the film, and evidently with the person that took over from him, Hitchcock threw Raymond's treatment of the script into the trash, and he said, "Let's start anew." So yeah.
Yeah, I had that like you mentioned, Patricia Highsmith's novel, but Hitchcock made quite a few changes from the main one of the main
Yeah.
well, instead of being a tennis architect, something like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of changes, and then I think the ending of the movie was actually taken from a different book as well.
Yeah, the Highsmith's opinion have it in my notes here. She liked certain things about it at sometimes, and then she criticized something. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but it's hard for me to judge basically because, of course, you have to kind of put it in the era that it was made. So, is it an average movie for a 50s film? Is it? I think we know it kind of is like middle of the pack, perhaps, maybe closer, higher up in the Hitchcock list. That is really subjective too. What the best Hitchcock is, and I did notice when I just wanted to kind of pull this point out here because I had it. It was a sci-fi thing, so I wanted to kind of pull anything I could from it because he's such a peculiar fellow. Really creep. He's that guy that goes on the edge of inbounds, but still creepy. I don't know how to say it, but he has a certain energy with him, and he just bulldozes through people too. But anyway, Bruno, he somehow, some way gets into a party where the future or the girlfriend of Haynes is the senator, and they're top crust, upper crust folks, and he somehow and which actually Bruno is too. Really, when you kind of see his background, he's basically mama's boy, mom and daddy's boy, still living at home. But anyway, he was talking to the senator directly, and he said something like some kind of new version of power. I think he said something about it being like the life force or something like that. I don't know. I couldn't hear it very well, but and I wasn't going to stick around to. But I did have to rewind it to listen to his quote. He quoted to him, which is the interesting part that I'm getting to, long-winded here, was the fact that he says, "Can you imagine being able to smell a flower on the planet Mars?" I just thought that was very interesting to kind of like a little cool slip in. But anyway, this one gross. I'll go into the financial information here. As far as I know, it's kind of a toss-up. Who knows if this is even correct? But budget of 1.2 million, and it earned 1.7 or almost 1.8 domestically, and 1.15 million in foreign worldwide.
Yeah.
But it was more recent source I had in my notes said that was more like 8 million. So, or maybe that's a little long-term earnings from it. Who knows, up to a certain point. But it made money for sure.
Yes, I guess Hitchcock had a run of kind of flops or movies that underperformed, and this one kind of brought him back into form.
Right.
But yeah. So it starts with Bruno meeting Guy on a train, and I think a lot of movies start with two people meeting. The thing I liked about the beginning of the movie is their conversation, their happenstance meeting in the one of the train cars, and then going to Bruno's car to have lunch together. The whole interaction was very engaging. At the time, I thought Raymond Chandler had a heavier hand in it. I thought, well, this is kind of interesting how you could hinge a scene on just conversation. It made me think of how Tarantino does that today. That conversation wouldn't be out of place if maybe they weren't in suit and ties like they were back in the day, but casually dressed. Yeah, it's but yeah, it's was a very engaging conversation, and there was a lot of unspoken things in the body language, and obviously they focused in on Bruno's tie, which I found out Hitchcock designed his lobster Bruno tie
I
there.
saw that lobster on. Yeah, I noticed that on his tie.
Yeah, yeah, he
Or
has a
lobster tie. Yeah,
yeah.
in one seat. Yeah, on the train. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he has. Bruno has like a fascination with claws and hands. He's very handsy, and so to speak.
Very.
Yeah, and there's a very intentionally. Well, it's. I was wondering as I watched it, and then I read it later that yeah, it was intentional that Bruno is implied to be homosexual. He's and there's that mystery of whether or not he's actually in love with Guy. He's kind of become infatuated with him.
He does come across as like that kind of that neurotic energy that this kind of close fascination. Like I said, it flirts with this thing of being creepy. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's like just a step or beat behind creepy. And he plays it very. He plays that tension and puts it so well with Guy too. So it could be a fan, a mad fan. It could be a lover that he wants him to see him with. Could be bisexual character. That I've also read a little bit of background for this too, which is it just goes to show when you do good acting and you have good script and a good storyline and a good director's vision.
Yep.
The fact that you can draw and put yourself, whatever that is, into the, or see these things, and then have wonderful conversations like this is really something that is lacking today, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like browbeat with it anyway, but.
Right, and obviously they had to deal with the censors as well. They couldn't be overt about certain things. They had to they pasted out and planned all of the how far they could take him acting a certain way to appear homosexual without being homosexual. That where the movie censors wouldn't trigger them. So they had to ride that line.
Right. Well, and of course, back in the day, like from the perspective that this film would get, I would imagine that if I was going to make a judgment call, a little bit light, just a light one for sake of argument, like what the view of a homosexual man would be, or even bisexual man, something that is not the norm in 1951.
Right. Yeah. No.
That they might categorize that or kind of wrap around it like this peculiar layer of, just to like really offset that this person is something not like us, something like that.
Right.
Like that very conformist authority. We have what's that? You have the sense of authority figures in your life that are very well respected at this time. Anyway, regardless. So there's all that layer. I think they weren't too far off from like the commie scare kind of thing.
Yep.
So there are these kind of different layers and subtext and interpretation. Whether it's is this homoerotic? Are there undertones for that, or the the fear your panic of what do they call it, the social climate, the red scare. Even worse, being accused and then having to go through that. So like this plays with that very well. I think because the whole perceived point of like you're some kind of a tennis star, you're presumably on your way up, and you can't have this kind of scandalization around it, or whatever.
Guy wants to be a politician, and then he's dating a senator's daughter. He's got his inroads into society, so to speak. But yeah, Bruno poses the question of the perfect murder. I'll do your murder. You do my murder. I'll do yours. But there's the thing where he'd read up on Guy and knew that he had a wife that he wants to divorce so he could marry his socialite girlfriend. And so Bruno has this in his mind. But Bruno's
wife is also stepping out on him too.
Yeah, exactly.
Picture.
in a stepping out several times actually at one time, where the
And,
implies a menage a trois kind of going on, which is
yeah,
kind of surprising in this movie.
absolutely. Well, that and the
Mm.
what was the she was present too, is dutifully told to the audience by the scene of them in a. I don't know if it was a phone booth or something, or I don't know. It was kind of cool.
No,
Like
it was they have like it was a record shop where you could go into
go
a little
listen to the
cubicle to
records.
listen to a
Okay,
record.
all
Yeah,
right,
it
all
kind of
right.
threw me out for a second, but yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, you have this kind of this scene, and as you're going into it here, sorry, I keep interjecting.
But no, yeah, the whole thing with the record thing. One of the things that kind of stood out to me was all the businesses that have changed or are no longer there. Obviously, we don't have no need for a little room to listen to records. And then our previous movie we saw last week, Lost Boys, and the video store, videotape store. Obviously those are huge back then, and now they're no, it's rare and far between of those. But yeah, just the change of the landscape in movies. It's sort of like a time capsule for things. But Bruno, obviously, he knows that he could kill somebody, or at least he's got this thing where he likes to do wild things. Like he said, have you ever been in a jet plane?
Oh yeah,
He's
yes.
all these crazy things, and he wanted to be the first man on the moon, or travel to the moon. And he wants to. He likes Guy because Guy does things. That was the thing he kept saying. He does things. Guy actually has a path and is actually doing things, whereas Bruno is kind of aimless and to the wind. And to make himself feel important, he does these wild things. So he knows that he could probably kill this guy or Guy's wife. But does Bruno really believe that Guy would kill his father, or is this just something inroads into Guy's life?
It,
Um,
well, it's funny because it's like Bruno has like this. He had on the one, he's kind of an idiot savant, right? So he's got this amazingly charming sense about him that kind of disarms people. And then he just has this one track focus on murder, but then he's kind of a little bit of a simpleton about it because of how he just assumes that we just had a conversation, and in reality, what he saw and what somebody else saw are not the same thing.
mhm.
And he mixes this, whether you want to call it a mix-up or you want to call it a whatever. He insists over and over again that this is the plan. This has always been.
Mhm.
You're right. Actually, to support your point, he is trying to force something to happen, and which would normally be a plan, but not but don't involve people dying. But which I think kind of helps Guy's character just be like, this guy's just screw loose or whatever.
Yeah,
It's,
and
he's just
Bruno, yeah, you've got to you have to wonder how concrete this idea was. Maybe it was happenstance that he found a guy on the train, and he had this wild idea. He has all these wild ideas. Some of them he does, some of he doesn't. Like when he was talking to his mom about what was it, burning down or blowing up the White House.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's kind of wild and out there, and he could go from idea to idea. But I think the fact that Guy left his lighter with him was the anchor that kind of cemented the whole thing. Otherwise, Bruno wouldn't have done it, because he knew he had the hook into Guy, because he could leave that, and he does. He does. When he murders Guy's wife, he does initially leave that lighter at the scene of the crime, but for a second, and then he thinks about it and takes it with him. He goes, "This is my insurance. So this is my my hold over Guy," and I think he likes the fact that he's able to have this control over a guy that and cause Guy to lose control, where Guy is normally in control. They kind of swaps feelings. A guy that guy who is very much in control of his life, and Bruno, who's kind of wild and to the wind. For a brief period of time, those are swapped. Bruno is kind of doesn't know which way the wind's blowing, and Bruno now knows, and he's kind of orchestrating how things are going to go out. Obviously, they don't go as planned, as these things do tend to do, but yeah, it's very interesting. The more you think about it, the more things you see. There's a lot of sense of doubles in this movie. There's
doppelgangers and doubles. Yeah.
exactly. Even with tennis, there's the doubles. And, yeah, there's
I did not think about that. That's true.
yeah, and then at the beginning of the movie, there's two pairs of shoes going to legs and shoes going to the train station, and yeah, there's a lot of a doubling of things. But yeah, it's yeah, I was kind of yeah, his mom, Bruno's mom's was an interesting character. You think Bruno's crazy, but she's she's pretty out there as well. I think yeah, I think
she's been able to channel her energy in other pursuits. Let's put it that way. With that painting that she showed, I think Tom is coming back here soon. We're up to 3 folks now. Thank you if you're just joining us. We do appreciate it. You kind of froze there for a moment, so I was just taking a moment to remind the folks and thank them for liking, commenting, and subscribing to us. And then there goes Tom. Well, Tom will be back here. There we go. All right.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Anyway, I was just saying thanks if you're joining us. We got 3 viewers. According to my stats, maybe there's a little bit more. Who knows? Things wonky anyway, but we do thank you for joining us.
Yeah, don't worry. Bruno didn't get me. I'm all right. Yeah, I was talking about the crazy mom. Yeah, there's a theme of crazy moms in Hitchcock's Au revoir, but yeah, this she's subtly crazy. Yeah, I think she shows Bruno her latest painting, and I don't think it's too wild for today's standards, because we've seen some kind of art that's kind of like that, but yeah, it was probably kind of surprising for the audience who are more used to kind of traditional paintings, and with her kind of abstract kind of artwork was probably a little off-putting to the audience, but yeah, she's very very loving mother, and very understanding, and she doesn't she kind of overlooks his killing tendencies, or his wanting to maybe blow. Yeah, and there's a moment where they're talking about his crazy idea, and you're thinking, oh, well, he's talked about killing his dad before with his mom, but no, it's another crazy idea of him wanting to do something to the White House. I forget whether or not it's blow up or burn it down or something.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous.
Yeah. So there's sort of like that weird. There's a lot of these interesting relationships in the movie that are kind of touched on that aren't explored, which may be because of censors, or maybe because there's a nice thing about leaving things to the imagination.
Yeah, no, they did a good job all around. I'm trying to find another thing to pull up here, but in the meantime, I was going to say Bruno. See, why does it do that? I'll just leave it up here for a minute. I'm just going to say, yeah. So Bruno's got is this very intense, very interesting character that kind of forces his energy upon you. And he doesn't like his dad for whatever reason. It was very fast paced for that. But
yeah, I picked up, and I don't know who else did, but I picked up kind of Fight Club vibes. There's Tyler Durden and the main character in Fight Club. They meet on an airplane, and they talk, and they end up kind of getting together later on in the movie, and Tyler Durden's this kind of wild character that does anything he wants. That's sort of like how Bruno is. I got very much. Obviously, the movies are totally different, but yeah, there's sort of like that energy of a crazy stranger getting into your life and causing it to go haywire and go off the rails, so to speak. There's definitely those kind of
Psychotic, yeah.
vibes.
That's
I
what I was trying
obviously,
to tweet
you
for
know,
earlier.
yeah.
Psychotic. That
What was that?
Bruno is psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
guess I think the actor, the actual real actor, Robert, well, yeah, Robert Walker. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Walker.
actually
Yeah.
had kind of a hellacious, end to his life. Uh, on top of that, he also had a
Yeah.
very bad
Hmm.
divorce with his wife Jennifer Jones, and, struggles with alcoholism. So
Hmm.
he really, I could easily see him channeling this dark, thing. There, I don't know. What do you say?
Yeah. Yeah. He what was it? He died 8 months
Yeah,
after the.
yeah,
So yeah, that was definitely sad. It was like a reaction to the something he was dealing the
prescription drugs.
medication. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. He did a great performance in this. That was one of the things that Patricia High Street that was consistent in her criticism of the movie was that he did a wonderful job as Bruno. Yeah, there's a interesting piece of trivia. Guy is reading a book at the beginning on the train where Bruno kind of interrupts him, and it's the actual book is Alfred Hitchcock's Fireside Book of Suspense Stories, and there's a couple of stories in there. One by well, there's obviously a few different stories, but two in particular. One by Cornel Woolrich. He wrote a short story in there called "It Had to Be Murder," which Alfred Hitchcock based Rear Window on. And the another story was by Robert Bloch, who wrote Psycho, and which later on Hitchcock also adapted into a movie. So a little trivia there, kind of foretelling of the future, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. We had the guy and Bruno, and they're back and forth, and like it takes a while before a guy realizes that this guy's serious, and he's not playing around.
Yep.
And then it starts to get slowly. The web starts to build around it, and it looks like Guy is just getting trapped further and further on. And he even tries to warn Bruno's dad
Hmm.
about it, but he fails. And he also confronts Bruno too.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of sets up a very tense. Again, the way that Hitchcock builds up suspense and tense, the tense tension. He's a master of doing that.
Hmm.
It was really taken with how that happened over and over again,
Hmm.
and it was a different, a natural way as you went with the story. I don't know how to put it in words better than that.
Yeah, yeah, and he's very much a stylist. He knew before he filmed the movie, he knew every shot how he wanted it to be filmed. There's a scene after Bruno's killed the guy's wife, and he waves him across the street to tell him about it. And Guy and him are there, and then they see the police come up, and they're behind this gate, and of course this gate, the shadows play across them. It looks like they're behind bars, sort of. There's all sorts of little nice little touches that he does, and then during the murder, there's the scene that everybody studies and cinema class where you see the murder happen in the pair of glasses.
Mhm.
Another thing of double lenses, and he plays with those lenses later on in the movie with Patricia Hitchcock, his daughter, who's also in the movie. There's some things where she reminds Bruno of the murder, and then you see things in her glasses, and it's very interesting how he got that to film like that. And then there's like a final scene where there's people are waiting on the phone to ring, and the way of depth of field is you can't really have something in the foreground and something in the background be in focus at the same time. So he tricked the lens and had this giant phone, this larger than life phone in front of them, so it looked like there was depth there. And so whenever one of the characters reaches for the phone, They kind of zoom in so you don't actually see the phone, and then you see the actual phone, and they but yeah, so so there's all these little tricks that he does, and I think with him being so stylish and him doing a lot of these murder mysteries, I think if he lived in a different time period, he might be very much in the vein of with the Giallos and Dario Argento. I think they would have very much in common with each
Absolutely.
other.
Well, yeah, there are loose aspects that follow along from
Hmm.
a whodunit kind of thing for like where you know who done it, but like how does it wrap up? Kind of
Hmm.
the algebraic version of a murder
Hmm.
mystery, where you know X Y Z, you just don't quite know how it all kind of comes together. Yeah, the oversized phone prop that you mentioned solved
Yeah,
depth of
which
field.
yeah, I think a lot of different movies and shows have made fun of that, where they actually have people actually hang actually touch the giant phone. I think there's a movie, what is it, Top Secret or something like that did that. But yeah, yeah, there's a lot of things that were done in these old movies that have been done over and over to the point where they become kind of old hat, and they're not that impressive to see in if you go back and watch an old movie. A lot of their tricks that they do have been done so many times, it seems like, oh well, whatever. But this movie does have some lot of cool things in it, like the glasses thing, and like there's a carousel scene at the end where it's going really fast, and that and then with that carousel explosion, that's all done with miniatures,
It's in real time.
which yeah
Yeah.
is it's miniatures, and you know usually that stuff especially back then would look fake, but it looked impressively well. I mean, I didn't realize that it was miniatures, although I wasn't watching it on a big screen. I watched it on my computer screen, so that might have been been
I
playing along with it, but
I too watched it on my computer. I didn't watch it on the big one.
mhm.
I just watched it on my laptop and then
But
on the
yeah,
Windows machine.
um, yeah, I was kind of I watched it on Tubi, which is our pals at
Thank you.
Tubi,
Absolutely.
and I found out also that it's also just started this month. It's on Canopy, which if you have a library card, you can sign up for Canopy and get it for and without commercials. But yeah, that's a great resource. I think it's with a Y at the end.
Yeah, I'll bring it up here offline. But I'll just set it up here on the other one on Tubi. Yeah, you know what? Tubi has pretty good. It doesn't get in the way. There are a few advertisements. I never saw them, but it would kind of stop playing, and then I'd have to just hit play.
Yeah.
And then it would skip the countdown because they use ad blockers. But
Mhm.
the Canopy one is even cooler. I'll bring that website up here momentarily. I'll let you
Another
talk.
another cool thing in the movie. There's a scene where guy is brought into the police station for questioning. Obviously, if your wife gets killed, there may be some questions to be answered. And the guy a guy is actually in the precinct waiting, and he has a newspaper in hand. And if you look close on the newspaper, there's a photo of the professor that was going to be able to back up his story,
Yeah,
which
useless alibi jackass.
um, yeah, there's that maybe the police would use that as a, oh, you just saw him in the newspaper, and that's why you picked him for your alibi. But yeah, that's never played out within the movie, so you have to kind of wonder what that was meant for.
Yeah, there's a couple of fake outs here in there, like where
Hmm.
you think, oh, guy, well, we'll just talk to the guy who was talking to him about calculus, finding differential equations and all kinds of wonderful things. And it's like, no, suburban is not an ally or alibi, excuse me. And he's like, I just don't remember you. When they go chase him down, find him, figure him out. So they put a police officer on him, which kind of complicates this kind of adds this extra layer of chicanery to it, I suppose. Um, that he has to evade for what he's doing, and there's like virtually no time to plan. and then you're off to the races with this with these Bruno and his wacky high stakes confrontation. It's the ultimate climax, but kind of walking up there. But yeah, so he called this crisscross murders, like crisscross, like you
Not
and
like the old '90s singing
right.
duo.
Yeah, yeah, crisscross. They'll make the jump.
They will, but yeah, yeah. There's also I mentioned it earlier. His daughter Patricia Hitchcock is in the movie. I didn't realize that until afterwards. I was reading about the movie, and yeah, she said that he treated her like a regular actor in it. Didn't give her any special treatment. But there's a thing, a little rumor that went around that I guess the studio kind of propagated, where they're at there's a carnival scene in it, and there's a Ferris wheel, and both Hitchcock and his daughter were both scared of heights, so he bet her $100 that she wouldn't ride the Ferris wheel. So the story the story that was propagated was that he brought her up to the top of it, turned it off, and shut off all the lights and left her there for an hour. Patricia said that not really. Those a couple of guys from the movie were riding it with her, and he did shut it off at the top, but only for a few seconds. So and then brought him back down. So it wasn't as sadistic as people were claiming. She said no. The sadistic part of it was that he never gave her the $100. He never paid up for the bet. So yeah.
Really? That's fun. Well, shame on you, or shame on them, whatever. That's fun. Yeah, I found this website, Film Grab, but it's got all these really cool stills of the movie.
Yep.
Just the iconic right there.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Hitchcock said that he designed it. Also, I think his guy's wife, I forget the actress who played her. That's Patricia Hitchcock. I think Miriam, the wife, she has these kind of Coke bottle glasses, and the actress had 20/20 vision. She didn't need the glasses, but is part of the character, and obviously there's the prop of the glasses. So the glasses were important, but even in far away scenes where you don't see the glasses up close, he still made her use those Coke bottle glasses as opposed to just regular glasses that wouldn't impede her vision. So if you'll notice in it, she's walking. When she's walking, she's feeling things or having someone drag her along because she really couldn't see in those glasses.
That's funny. Well, they are quite thick. They are really thick. Yeah, in the movie.
Yeah.
You kind of see it develop.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was like the body double.
Uh-huh.
And then they kind of wrap it back around on itself a little bit with the where the love canal boat operator.
tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, he's like the guy, and then you kind of see this. You have this very tense scene, like where there's light and shadow, which he perfectly does, and and his hat, the brim of his hat, which is something they could only do back then because nobody wears hats like that today.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they could do like he's kind of in line. And the cops talk to him, and as he gets closer, the light is, or he is slowly like kind of going forward in line, but he's also like kind of like paying attention more to him. And then the operator goes, "Hey, that guy looks like it's like a guy, but it's not the guy, or it's not guy. It's
Yeah, you got fun with the name Guy, but yeah, that there's another scene at the amusement park where we talked about it earlier, where the carousel is going really fast, and that whole little scene at the end, that's taken from another novel, the whole action scene. But my favorite scene in this whole movie that made it worth watching, really capped it off, was there's a scene where the guy who's controlling it gets shot, and falls forward and knocks it to where it's going crazy. The merry-go-round's going crazy,
It sets
and
up the final,
yeah. So
the final go
there's
round.
yeah, yeah. So that one that's exciting. Oh wow, some guy just killed this, and then there's a cut to the detectives there and wondering what they should do. And this old guy, Carney guy, that's worked the worked the merry-go-round before. He goes, "I got this." And there's a talk where they go, "Should we let the guy do it?" And he's like, "Wait, are you going to do it?" so so you got this old man kind of crawling underneath.
Army crawling, yeah.
Yeah,
Like it's World War One.
This merry-go-round, and most of these movies where there's this tension and you're waiting for something to happen. A lot of times it's unrealistic because that guy would have got there before then. He's light on his feet. He could get there, but you got this old guy crawling under this. Of course, he's going to take his time. He's not gonna hurry it. And another thing that I didn't know about that scene that made it even more impressive was the guy was an actor. It was one of the most dangerous scenes in the movie because the guy was actually crawling underneath that, and if he rose his head up a little high, goodbye, guy. He could have died. And Hitchcock said that it was very, very, very tenseful filming that. But yeah, so yeah, that's a great scene. And that was one of my favorite scenes. If not my favorite scene.
Yeah, this kind of we're kind of coming up to a natural end anyway, but the way that the final act goes through is perfect. I mean for the how it ends, it kind of ends on that note. I agree with you. That scene, like where he's he's kind of like like if it were, I kept thinking like when they went to show the scene underneath him, like right above his head, so you get this sense of depth. You really are kind of like going like this with the camera, with watching it, kind of getting your kind of your anxiety up a little bit. But if it were a modern day movie, that guy would have like something bad would have happened and it would have like taken off half. So it would have been like extra gory and unneeded, probably, but. Yeah, that was a technical challenge that actually happened. He said he would never do that again with the way that it went because it was too dangerous.
Yep.
And I think we covered the adaptation, Easter eggs. He makes an appearance on here. I didn't catch it. I need to go back and find it. Where Hitchcock kind of breaks that fourth wall a little bit.
Yeah. About 11 minutes in, he's off the Hitchcock getting on it with his double bass, right, the thing with the doubles again.
Yeah, you covered the big oversized phone. We covered that. We covered the critical reception and legacy. 98% approval rating on Rotten Films, like whatever the hell that means to you. But obviously, it's a classic. That's pretty much what that means. But we didn't really go into too much over the Red Scare, but we did cover the other parts there. We kind of covered that. I think we're kind of
there's a scene in the during the party scene, a social party that they have where Bruno kind of works his way in, and you mentioned his talk about that. There's a scene with a couple of older ladies where he's talking about charming. It seems like the perfect murder is always a thing of interest to him, and he decides to show the lady how to, I guess, strangle someone, and
we have to do it like this.
Yes, and actually, and I read that Alfred Hitchcock liked to do that with ladies during parties, is show them how to strangle. So that was very much Hitchcock. He's a little bit of an odd bird. Very interesting guy. And I sent you a link to Shockwaves. That it's a podcast. it no longer is around. But I wanted to do the shout out this particular episode because it's John Landis is the interviewee in it. Anytime that they had an interview, it was very engaging. They did a great one with William Friedkin, and then there was one on Tubular Bells, that song. That was very fascinating. But this John Landis one is particularly interesting to maybe the people watching today, is because he was an assistant to Hitchcock in Hitchcock's later life, and so
That's
he tells some interesting stories about Hitchcock in his life at that time. He said that Hitchcock was yeah just having fun at that point in his life, and a lot of times he was very stoic but very humorous. So a lot of times you didn't know if he was actually making a joke or not, whether he was just kind of acting crazy, or if he really intended it to be funny. But yeah, just pulling your leg. So it's quite enjoyable. John Landis is a very fascinating guy in general. He was talking about how he he got to meet and be friends with several living legends like Hitchcock, Michael Jackson, and David Bowie. Yeah,
David
there's
Bowie.
yep. So very very good interview. Definitely check that out. It's Blumhouse presents Shockwave. But yeah, if you do a search for Shockwave, and I'm sure you'll put the link for it in the thing. That's kind of, if you like that podcast, if you listen to it, you like it. Two of the three people that do that podcast have gone on to do Color Out of Dark. But yeah, Shockwaves kind of went away because I think one of the main people in it, during that time there was kind of Me Too things, and he got caught up in it. Yeah, I forget what the controversy was, but
Right.
evidently he wasn't very let's just say, yeah, there's things that maybe he did
Problematic.
that wasn't, yeah, problematic is probably the best way to say it. But yeah, the other two have gone on to do another podcast. But yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up
Thank you. Yeah,
for us.
good save. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the I was going to say we covered most of the stuff here. I don't think we're really going to spoil the end of the film, but this is not a big time commitment either. This is an hour and 40 minutes or so, like maybe a touch over that, whatever. But and it goes by pretty quick. Again, the pacing. This is one thing that I'm always, and thank you if you are watching so far. We're about to wrap it up. We got about 9 people on. I think we hit a peak of 31 folks. So thank you if you did tune in. We do greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Very much appreciated. But I was going to say the worry that I used to have when I would go into these very old movies, relative to my young age, and you're of young age as well. 1951 is. I always worry if I'm going to be bored, or I'm not going to be able to keep my attention span. And every single time, I am rewarded with a wonderful experience, like where this just gets going. That's all the most important parts, and you're along on this ride. And really good ones are like that. So,
Yep.
so it's also kind of fun to kind of look in and see what life was like back then. For different kind of
Yeah,
period.
and
Or the
I'll,
time frame.
also, most of the movies we cover on here don't really engage my mother. But when I told her we were doing Hitchcock Strangers on Train, she's very engaged about this, and had a lot to talk about Hitchcock in this movie. So yeah, you at least caught the interest of my mom's.
Oh yeah, well that's kind of the fun part too. Like when you typically like you talk about your mom or whatever. Like I just think about family gatherings like Thanksgiving or something, or birthdays, weddings, funerals, that kind of thing. It's a generationally thing. It's fun when you can revisit of these wonderful, wonderful films that are out there. There's all kinds that are out there, so you don't have to just be given whatever nowadays, which is okay, most stuff. But To be honest with you, like with all these gems out here, there's always something to find. So hopefully,
Right.
our humble takedown of this film, we can add it, we can put it up on the shelf and visit it later on.
Yeah. It's just depends on how far you want to dig, because you know that you always hear, no matter what decade it is, no matter what year it is, there's no good movies out. There's nothing good. That's sort of defeatist kind of talk. Obviously, there is good stuff. Sometimes you have to dig. Sometimes you have to look. I mean, if you took every movie from 1951, you're going to find some stinkers. You're going to find stuff that's not worth watching. And then you're gonna find some that is. So yeah, you really have to kind of look, and there's movies for everybody's taste. The movies that I love aren't going to be the movies that someone else loves. So, and that's fine. That's great. So yeah, everyone's not making movies just for you. So you're gonna have to, if you're kind of a stickler or kind of picky about the movies you like, you might have to kind of look around. And there's the current view of things, and there's a current attitude towards movies, and that attitude, or what the majority or the popular movie is of the day isn't to your liking. Obviously, you can go. You can find something else. There's some, with the amount of product that's being produced right now, and you can't find something to watch. I say no. You're just being lazy.
Yeah, I think we're getting up close here. This is a double. I think a big quadruple thumbs up for you to entertain. Throw a random dart on a dartboard and hit a Hitchcock film. You're probably gonna be fine.
Yeah, and if you have to have everything in color, obviously this is a black and white film. It's not going to be a like an MTV movie. It's not going to be fast paced. There's not going to be guys jumping around, scaling walls. But yeah, if you're interested in a kind of an adult movie with people talking and not screaming at each other, this might be something you might find fascinating. There's with like Mike said, with any old movie, you kind of worry that there won't be anything to kind of tickle your brain to make you kind of think a little bit, but of subtitles that are left unsaid because maybe they had to leave it unsaid because of censors. But there's a lot of stuff there that you could really kind of dig into. We just kind of scratched the surface with the homosexuality of Bruno and the Red Scare and all these other little things. But there's there's lots of other things that other people have probably written over time and time again on this movie. That's fascinating. So hopefully this is sort of like just a kind of a stepping stone. And if you like this movie and like Hitchcock, you'll dive a little deeper with some deeper stuff.
I have no doubt we will be revisiting Hitchcock at some point in the not too distant future, for sure, next year or years, hopefully. But I really enjoyed this show, and I appreciate you. Thank everyone for tuning in. We do appreciate if you can give us a subscribe or a thumbs up, or just say a hey where you saw us at. It'd be great.
Yeah, and if you think we suck, let us know. We don't mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thumbs up.
I've been Mike.
And I'm Tom. I'm out there looking at the trains.
The